Okay, so for the waistband, I usually use these stretchy, elasticy bands, and I found this in the ribbon section. You can pretty much find it anywhere. I go to Hobby Lobby, but you can find it at Walmart or any craft store. You can also probably find it at Joann's Fabrics, Michael's. But it looks just like this, stretchy material, comes in different sizes. I like to use the wider bands for the babies, but just like this for the waist. Okay, so she told me that her daughter's waist size is 19 inches. I usually go by the chart, but I like to ask anyways, just so I can have a general idea. Even if you do 18 inches or you come shy a little bit, that's perfectly fine. You don't want it slipping off. It is very stretchy, so you can go a little bit tighter because it stretches so much. So I'm going to measure out my 19 inches. So that takes me right around here. And then I'm going to cut right at that line. And again, I'm gonna go just a little bit under 19 inches because it's just to give it room to stretch. So I'm gonna fold this in and I'm just going to cut right alongside here. Okay, so I have already threaded my needle, and I know I said it was a no sew, but it's a no sew. You don't have to take out your sewing machine. It's just a hand stitch, really quick hand stitch. I'm going to put the two right sides together. So these two, the sides we are going to use, going to put it together just like this. And then I'm just going to stitch this. I like to make sure that it's nice and secure right there. You will see as you start to sew, as you start to hand stitch this in, these little frayed edges, they'll begin to come down a little bit more. They won't be as apparent. And you can use a thimble. I just like to go along like that, but you can use a thimble, and you can also go in through these holes or these little slots. Doesn't need to be, you don't need to be too particular with it. As I mentioned, it stretches. You just want to make sure that it's nice and secure so that when it stretches, it looks just like this. And I'm not even using the same color thread because this is white thread right here, and you're not going to be able to see it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this bad boy off right here. And I like to tie a knot to make sure that it's nice and secure, nice and tight. So I'll just tie the knot. And then I'm really picky on these edges right here. So I'm gonna go back in with my scissors and I'm gonna cut off just these little strays that are up here so that they're not sticking up like that. But the stitching should look like this. So it should be secure like that. So when it goes back around, it looks like that. Okay, so I usually buy the onesies unless they provide in this case they provided me with the onesie. I don't have it yet, so I'm just gonna use this as a template. I like to use paper towel if I'm doing babies, baby tutus, and I like to use my form if I'm doing an adult, or I like to use the chair and stretch it out if I'm doing an adult. But I'm going to be using, these paper towels are kind of flimsy, but I'm going to be using this paper towel, and I put my onesie that I'm going to use on there, or whatever coordinates with it, and then I get the band that I just created, and I like to slide that over. For this one, I'm going to add one more roll of paper towel just so that it can be a little bigger because this is a tiny little baby. Okay, so just for the tutorial purpose, I added one more roll so that it can be wider, just like the baby that I'm going to be gifting this to. You want to make sure that your seam is in the back and it's going to look exactly like how it's going to look like on the baby. So you want to make sure that your stitches are proper, that you don't have them too snug and you're not able to see the inner part. If you by chance missed a little spot, then you can go back and you can stitch right there, but seems to be seamless right here. So then you are going to continue with. You can press pause if you want to see the chart for a little bit longer. So what I usually do, and I had posted the sizing chart, and the sizing chart is very accurate. She had gave me 19 inches. I kind of adjusted it a little bit, but this is pretty good as far as the stretch and elasticity. This is for a 1 to 2 year old, and I mark it. I cut it out. It's for a 12 to 18 months, and this is 18-inch length, 15-inch waist, and 17-inch stretch. So this is the standard waist size, and then it stretches to this size right here. So I just cut this out, and the way that I measure this, you just want to measure it in the length right here. So I just measured from here to here. This is 8 inches. So pretty easy, very, very simple. I then get the ribbon that I'm going to use. So I'm going to move this ribbon over, and I'm not going to use all of this, but I will be using most of it. And the way that I do this is I will align it just like this. So I'll align it right with the top. Really, really easy. My cardboard is a little shabby because I've been using it a lot. So I'm going to just wrap this right around. Really easy. Wrap it right around. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. See what, actually I'll do one more. Okay, so I started from the top right over here. So I'm gonna get my scissors. I'm gonna just slide my scissors in like this, and I'm just going to cut that. So I have strips like this. I'm going to plate. Okay, we're gonna get started. I have these all sorted out. It's up to you if you are really particular, OCD, about how you want this done. If you want it done in a pattern, you want to alternate, you want 2 here, 1 here, you can do that. I am not picky with it. I like to kind of sort them as I go. So if you do want to put them in the order that you want them to go, then go on ahead and do that. We are going to start. So if you take a look here, we have all of these bottom holes. So this one, all these bottom holes. These are all the holes. These are the holes that we will be using, that we'll primarily be using. You can use these up on top. I have done tutus like that, but I usually like to stick to the bottom here because it leaves it full enough. And sometimes it's just too much if you go higher. So we're just using these bottom holes right here. I am going to fold it in half, just like this, and ignore those straight ends right there. We're gonna take those off in a little bit, but you wanna make sure that it's even. just like this. You're gonna fold it in half and scrunch it up. So I'm just gonna bunch it, scrunch it up like this. Now those holes that I just showed, this bottom hole, I'm going to place it this way. Now you don't wanna go under, you wanna go directly in the hole this way. So I'm going to bunch this all up and stick it through. Now it looks just like this. I'm going to open this, open it right here. I'm going to slide the two ends in through here into this loop, and I'm going to pull just like a tie. I'm just going to pull on it until it's nice and snug. You don't want to pull too tight. You just want to make it nice and loose, actually. Kind of arrange it as you move along. Make sure that it's kind of fanned out just like that. I usually like to skip holes, so I'll go into the next hole. I'll skip this hole and then go into the hole right next to it. If it's a really big ribbon like this one, if it's a small ribbon, I'll go right next to it. So since this is a smaller ribbon, I will go right next to it. Again, just folding it in half, bunching it up, and sticking that right in through there. So stick it through, slide it, open this up, slide it through, pull, and then I like to move this around, rearrange it. Okay, so I'm done with this part, and I have completed all the way around. So cute. Now I'm going to start with the bow, and I usually use the same colors for the bow, but I remembered that her theme is arrows. So I'm gonna use arrows for this one. I just didn't have enough of this ribbon, so I'm going to combine it with this because it goes together with her outfit, with her little onesie that she will be using, or her t-shirt. So the holes that I will be using for the bow, and I really just eyeball it. I make sure, because as I'm moving along in through here, sometimes it starts to twist, so I make sure that I'm aligned right at the back right here so the bow is not uneven. So once I make sure of that, I want to stay on the lower side, and I kind of envision the bow off right here. Sometimes I bring it in centered a little bit here. So the holes that I will be using are these two holes right here. Actually, I'm going to move into these two holes right here. I think that might be best, a little bit closer. So I'm going to move into these two holes. What did I say? These two? Okay, so I'm going to just cross this over, and I will slide it through. I'll go in to this hole and then come right out the hole right beside it. With the ribbon, sometimes if you choose really thick ribbon, it's a lot harder to come through. I like the thick ribbon for the bows though. They look a lot prettier. And as you can see, there's half of my bow. So I'm just gonna open this up, kind of fan it so that it opens up right here. Then I'm gonna get my other, and since we're shoving it into this same area, it gets really snug in there. which is okay because you know it's secure. I'm gonna bunch it all up once again. And I'm going to shove it in the opposite way so that the bow can come out just like this. And it's a lot easier when I have my nails on, but I don't. So I'm just gonna force it as much as I can. There we go. Got a little bit of a leverage. Hopefully you're able to see right there. Yeah. So I'm just gonna pull this loop through. And it won't tear, believe me. I've done this so many times, it's so stretchy that it just secures itself. So I'm gonna move this part up, and that's part of my bow. And this is the other part of my bow. I'm just gonna open this up so that it looks like a bow. And arrange that right there. Open this up and arrange it. I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut just a slant right here. And as I mentioned in my videos, I like them to be uneven with the slants. I just think it looks prettier when it's uneven, a little uneven. Do a slant right here. And a slant right here. Just keep moving those bows around, that bow around just to make sure. This next part is so important, and we're almost at the end, but this next part is so important because, as I mentioned earlier, when we were cutting the ribbon, it starts to fray just like this. So you want to go in through each and every, and be careful, you want to go in through each and every one of the ribbons and just run it through, run the lighter through it, just like that, just so that it seals it. And as you can see, it's a perfect seal. It's not frayed like that one. It's a perfect seal, and they can use this for a long time. So you just want to keep running that through. Okay, so this is what it looks like, all done. I'm pleased with it. I hope the birthday girl loves it. And her mom and her family, and she has fun at her party. And finishing touches. I bought this at Hobby Lobby, and I usually stitch them on in everything that I do. And I found that in the jewelry department. All done.